Oh, it's Matthew Ryan Cronin's birthday if you want to do a shout out.
Oh, yeah. Happy birthday, Matthew Ryan Cronin. Long-time listener.
Mm-hmm.
Good man.
I can't tell if the show has begun.
Happy birthday.
Are we just practicing that? Or are we doing this? Is this happening right now?
It's happened.
You think of Earth as a singular planet. In fact, it is anything but. For this is a story not of a universe, but a multiverse, where universes and planets, such as Earth, were replicated and mirrored across a vibrating, infinite plane. Some barely different from the next. Others drastically so.
This is DC On Screen. Every week, Dave and Jason talk about the multiverse of DC properties on film and television. But be warned, if it's been officially released, you can expect they'll spoil it.
Welcome into DC On Screen, episode 442. I'm your host, David C. Robertson. This is my co-host, Jason Goss.
Yeah, I'm just catching up, guys.
Yep, I don't know what's happening anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. So before we start, hopefully what will be a mostly fun episode, we do have some crappy news. But I would like to remind you that if you like the show, you love us, you want to keep hearing us do this, and you want to help support us, go over to iTunes and leave us a positive review. That does help us a lot. It always helps.
Sure it is.
And if you want to leave us a voicemail, which we didn't get any voicemails this week, but if you want to, 205-259-6331. We'll play them on the show. So, starting off, right out of the gate, ever since the Harvey Weinstein stuff happened, been a bunch of allegations and stuff coming out, a lot of people finally getting the courage to come out and name their aggressors, the people in power who have used that power, well, in a way that I will describe here as janky. Sinister is probably a more appropriate term.
It seems to range between the two.
So Brett Ratner has been called out by several people, and this is the guy that formed the company Rat Pack. And since 2013, Rat Pack has been financing a bunch of Warner Brothers movies, like about 25% of their movies. And Lego Movie, Gravity, Batman v Superman was part of this, Suicide Squad, Lego Batman movie, Justice League, Wonder Woman, a whole bunch of different kinds of movies. And Warner Brothers has cut them off now, and they'll be fine. Warner's will be fine.
In general, Warner Brothers is not at risk.
And I didn't write it down. I guess I'm a shitty host, but Patty Jenkins had spoken well of Brett Ratner. She had awarded him something. I don't remember. But she came out and said, "I am extremely distressed to read these terrible allegations against Brett Ratner. When I spoke of Brett, I spoke of my own experiences with him, which were not these at all. I've never witnessed nor been aware of anything that is now being described. To be very clear, I am definitely not okay with this kind of behavior. Sexual harassment and assault are never okay, and I stand with and defend all of the men and women who are revealing these horrific encounters all over this industry and this world. I hope their disclosures bring about real change for all of us, and I am deeply grateful to them for their bravery." Now, a reporter from Fox 5, I'm sure you know this guy. This is the guy that wears the BVS socks and just geeks the hell out whenever he talks to any of these people.
I'd still have to see him, but
but he's a reporter from Fox 5 in Washington, and he was talking to Ben Affleck, Ray Fisher, and Jason Momoa, and he brought up Kevin Smith's decision to donate all of his Weinstein residuals to charity. He brought that up to Affleck, and Affleck said, "Oh yeah, it's funny you mentioned it. I decided to do the same." He says, once Kevin suggested that I decided to do the same thing, so I'm giving any further residuals I get from either a Miramax or a Weinstein movie will go to Phi or Rain. One is Film Independent, and the other is a women's organization. I just didn't want to cash any more checks from the guy, you know? I don't usually bring it up. It was Kevin's idea. I thought it was a good one, and I hope it catches on. Some people probably couldn't afford to give all those residuals away, but even if you're doing 10%, that's something. And then the reporter asked Ray and Jason how we can like correct the culture. And Ray Fisher says, I think we can keep talking about it. We can keep talking about it, keep making it known. People keep speaking up. Obviously, this is a problem that extends beyond just the film industry. This is a problem at large in the world, and we need to encourage people to stand up and be willing to speak about it, male, female, whatever. We also have instances, I remember Terry Crews coming out saying that he was sexually harassed, being who he is. It extends further beyond just this specific place. We need to keep talking about it and keep encouraging other people to do the same. So, yeah, I agree with all that. That's good stuff.
Yeah,
we
that's
need to
actually
keep talking about it.
That's pretty well summed up. As long as it's part of the dialogue,
Yeah.
gives everyone the best opportunity to speak up.
What's kind of interesting to me is a lot of people that are talking about it keep kind of mentioning it as if like someone secretly put those people in power. Like, oh yeah, they put these predators in power. Power corrupts. I think it's probably more or less the opposite. But
I'd put it on a spectrum. Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's probably a mix and match.
well, I mean, yeah, sure. There's got to be a mix to it, but I don't know. I think power does tend to corrupt. You know, as the old saying goes.
It's an old saying for a reason.
Because someone thought it up a long time ago.
Yes, not because it's still a great idea or that it still holds some merit. It's old rhetorically, meaning that it's old.
Now, all right. So this next bit isn't necessarily. Now people are getting mad about it and being like, "It's a monopoly." Shut up. Hold on. This doesn't necessarily affect DC or Warner Brothers. I mean, it does, but it's not really news for them. I'm excited about it nonetheless. I think it's really awesome. Disney is apparently reportedly in talks to buy Fox.
So I've heard.
Everything but like the news and sports divisions, which is just fine by me. Get that Fantastic Four and X-Men back in there.
Yeah, they don't need a news or. They already own ESPN. And all of its accompanying networks, not to mention ABC. So
Yeah.
they've got news and sports covered. They can keep their cute little news and sports section.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They can keep that crap.
Yeah.
I want the Fantastic Four and X-Men back.
I know what you got excited about. I understand.
Yeah. And also this next bit.
I can
Which
just
is
imagine
not,
two people talk over the conference room. They're just chatting about oh yeah, that sounds great. But just for curiosity, how much would you give me for the sports section? And the guy laughs at him. He's like, I don't know, $250 million, $250. Yes, I'll give you that.
Well, so okay, they're on the whole press junket, you know, the Justice League stars, and they were basically asked if they would like to do a crossover with Marvel. Affleck says, "I don't own Marvel or DC, but I think it would be great. I'm sure if it could be successful for everybody, people would like to do it. I don't see why not. It's a great idea." Henry Cavill says, I think the rivalry lives in the fans more so than it does in us. For all of us who are making these movies, or I'm sure for the comic book artists and writers, there have been rivalries in the past, but now it's just about celebrating these characters, certainly for us. I mean, I'm sure when it comes to deep finances, when it comes to DC and Marvel, there's always going to be competition, but they need each other to survive as well. If one goes down, that means superheroes aren't popular, and you don't want that, because if one goes down, the other goes down.
Well put.
Yep. Ray Fisher says, I've been a huge DC fan since I was growing up. I had friends who were huge fans of Marvel. Batman would always win. I'd always figure out a way for Batman to beat anybody, no matter what universe they were in. But he did. He referred to the differences of the companies. He says it's like red and blue. It's literally down to what do you like, what are you into. I think to put it all together, you don't want to take this sort of homogenized sort of tone either. I would love to see some of these characters fight one another. That would be really awesome to see. But you also want to make sure that you maintain your own style and integrity. I don't know. It sounds like they're down, man. It sounds like they're down.
Oh, yeah.
Momoa says I would love to be in a crossover. Hell yeah. I mean, like Hemsworth, I love him. It's like to be next to Thor or to be next to the Hulk. It's like, oh, I'm going to take you out in the water and drown your ass.
Yeah.
I think it's great that the question is coming up more and that they all responded to it and responded positively to it. I think it would absolutely be amazing to see that. I want to see it.
Yeah, I would. I like how some of them are like, well, if the numbers work, I mean, yeah, we can totally.
Yeah, I was like, especially like Affleck and Cavill, who were like, well, the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, well, we got to talk to a few people before we get excited about it. Yeah,
So, some people have gotten upset with Henry Cavill this week.
That makes so much sense, though. It's like Ben Affleck and Gal Gadot are like, well, I mean, let's think about things. We'll start some meetings, see how this goes. And you go to Jason Momoa, he's like, hell yeah! Oh, Cavill, sorry. You go to Jason Momoa, though, and Aquaman's attitude is like, hell yeah, I'm going to drown Thor. That is so fitting.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. Go ahead.
So, yeah, people were pissed off with Cavill, Henry Cavill. He said some interesting things. Might not be there yet, actually. Yeah, I'm not there yet. He was talking about Batman v Superman. And this actually makes a lot of sense to me. He says, Henry Cavill said, I think it was that movie is part of an arc for what Zack's vision was or is. He was talking about BVS's divisiveness. And he says, it's also in my mind fairly niche. It's a niche style of movie within a genre, and it reflects in the audience reviews and critic reviews. It's divisive. When anything is niche, it's gonna be liked and loved by some and disliked by others, and that's the whole point of niche. I have never thought about it that way before. It almost is like Batman v Superman is kind of like, I don't know, a $300 million indie film.
A little bit, and I see because we were the subset of people here, and I'll admit probably subset. I'm pretty sure the numbers are not skewed in our favor, but because we're the kind of persons who enjoyed this, I think we've treated it a little bit like they're describing it now. We're like, I can't count the number of times I've said I enjoyed it. I'm really, from the depths of my heart, sorry that you didn't get to enjoy it too. Mm-hmm. Because that's how I felt leaving. It was like, I am pleased, but I am probably not going to be the overwhelming voice right now.
Yeah.
It was a different attitude entirely going into it, and not my attitude, an attitude in the filmmaking going into it that I knew wasn't going to pay off for everyone.
This is the first time I felt like we watched a comic book superhero version of a Noah Baumbach film starring Ben Stiller.
Yeah, when you put it in that light, there's all kinds of comparisons that make a lot more sense now, right?
Yeah.
And somebody actually asked me about that this week, and said, like, didn't Superman come out and say he didn't like the film? And I said, look, okay, hold on. I read that quote. To me, it feels like the original tone is now past tense, production-wise. I think they've gotten to the point internally where they've gotten around to Kirk, because that feels really honest, doesn't it? That felt like almost a little ballsy kind of honest.
Yeah. Well, we haven't gotten to that quote yet.
Yeah.
I'll get to it.
You should fill that out. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll get to it in a second. We'll talk about it. But this thing dropped like a big old turd. An article from the Wall Street Journal by Ben Fritz titled, "Can the Justice League Keep Up with Offbeat Superheroes?" Now, this article is positing that Justice League is now too mainstream. The DCEU is now too mainstream. I'll read a little bit of this. This is from his article. Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman joined forces to save the world in Justice League, but their long-awaited team-up may not be the automatic superhero movie triumph it once seemed. The November 17th release, which unites the well-known trio with big-screen newcomers Aquaman, Cyborg, and The Flash, has had perhaps the rockiest road to release of any big-budget movie this year. Now, you can start to see the bias pop up here. In the past 18 months, it has sustained a switch in directors and creative tinkering before and after production to lighten the tone. Significant reshoots brought an already big budget up to nearly $300 million, said people close to the picture. Justice League is hitting theaters at a time when Hollywood is shifting From by-the-books portrayals of superhero stalwarts, the success of films like Logan, Warner's own Wonder Woman, and current box office juggernaut Thor Ragnarok indicate audiences are hungry for unique pictures about particular characters. Justice League does not fit that mold. Supporters describe the movie as a crowd pleaser in which a few superheroes team up and beat the bad guys. I'm going to stop there. The rest of it pretty much reads like that. Like, this guy is now shifting the conversation into now they're too mainstream. Now they're too much of a crowd pleaser.
I was thinking that's got to be so frustrating if you're involved. To sit there and read that kind of press. You got to be reading that thinking, oh God, I hope nobody else tries to make sense of that angle. Because it's just, man, that's taxing. Because you get all this flack for taking a different tact. Whereas like you were already in a bad position where you could either take another angle of approach to making these movies or copy Marvel and then be called a ripoff. So you have to take another tack with it. And then you do it and you get all this crap for it. And now you're trying to rein it in a little bit to make it a little more, I don't know, congruous with, it's not even congruous. Like, it just feel a little more lighthearted. Admittedly, you're moving a little closer back to the Marvel side, right? And then this is now the narrative someone's trying to push on us is like, it's not going to be kitsch enough. No one will care about these. I can't even.
Yeah.
I can't even think about that for too long without getting a little depressed.
Yep, it's pretty depressing.
But
sounds like we need a pick-me-up.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman is now the highest-grossing superhero origin movie.
I was really hoping it was going to be an actual pick-me-up instead of, sounds like we need a pick-me-up. Well, in other news, the head of Warner Brothers killed his dog.
No. Uh-oh. That's awful. Why would that be a pick-me-up?
It is awful. I was hoping you weren't just setting me up. But yeah, Wonder Woman, that's fantastic.
No. I wasn't setting you up.
I was clinched there for a second.
So, yeah, it's past 2002's Spider-Man.
Oh, good.
Yep. Spider-Man held it for 15 years.
Nice.
So that's kind of a big deal.
That is a big deal. Both for Spider-Man and Wonder Woman. Both impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also want to have...
All right, so...
Like, how does that guy think Wonder Woman isn't... Anyway, I don't even want to argue with that guy.
Yep.
not even internally. I'm going to forget he exists entirely.
Yep. Probably the best thing to do.
Yeah.
So this enraged a bunch of people, and I thought it was awesome. I was like... I don't know. I was really excited about this.
We actually end up in that boat a lot.
Yeah. Danny Elfman was doing an interview with Reporte Indigo, and I don't know the site, but he was doing an interview with him, and they asked him if they would be hearing a new theme for Batman in the movie. Elfman said, "No, you will not hear a new theme for Batman. You will hear Batman's theme for Batman." And the guy was like, "Oh, Hans Zimmer from Dawn of Justice?" And Elfman like chuckles and goes, "No, you'll hear Batman's theme. Batman has only one theme." Obviously talking about his own theme that he wrote for Batman in '89.
Yeah.
And now he did say, now Hans has done some wonderful, very driving, rhythmic stuff, but there's only ever been one theme, and it's Batman's theme. A lot of people are having an issue with this. I don't, because a lot of people have said, well, he's kind of shitting on Hans Zimmer. No, I don't think so. I don't think Hans Zimmer ever actually wrote a Batman theme. I think he is actually just speaking from a technical standpoint.
I think he's just talking shop.
Yeah, and even if we weren't, I can barely remember anything Hans Zimmer did for Batman. Really, I don't remember that music necessarily in my head. When I think of Batman.
I mean, he did for Superman, but I feel like a lot of the Wonder Woman bit is very Junkie XL, but
no, there was somebody, I can't remember who else did that. The Wonder Woman thing was written by someone else.
No, I just mean from BVS that da 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 da.
I know.
Is that really somebody else? I thought I would have sworn that would be Junkie XL's handiwork.
It was gosh. It may have been him. I don't know.
Anyway, the point is,
I thought it was a cellist. I thought it was a lady cellist. some lady.
That's a very
I don't
specific
remember her
memory,
name.
which means you're probably right about it. But
Yep.
it, in any case, the point is, they had memorable, actual themes you could point out. But if you tried to tell me what Batman's was right, and if you played it for me right now, I wouldn't be able to say, yes, that's the thing that appeared on, that I heard, when Batman came on screen. I don't know if I'd be able to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I know like when Batman's running around doing stuff, when in the Nolan trilogy, it's like dun, 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 dun. But I don't consider that a Batman theme. That's just, as he put it, like a very driving rhythmic thing.
Yeah, I don't think he was throwing as much shade as people are maybe getting out of this.
No, he doesn't even seem necessarily very like egotistical as people have claimed. Like,
well, it almost
seems...
is in a way that's like he seems to be talking about it in a way that's like I said, shop talk that doesn't have any ego involved. Like I watched the interview. I didn't see him, get peaked at any point. I didn't see him try to bow out and puff his chest over this at all. It was just like, no. I mean, come on. I mean, Batman has one theme.
Yes, you can say that. Like, I think actually Scott over on Squadcast made this point that I heard, where he was talking about like, the '66 Batman theme. More people know that one than the '89. Absolutely, but I don't think Danny Elfman watches TV. I don't think he's familiar. He did the Flash theme for the '80s, but I don't think he really cared. Like, I mean, I would love to hear that theme in the movie, like I've said before, but I don't think he's sitting around going like, oh yeah, there was that one from the '60s, and there was Shirley Walker's thing in the animated series, which they usurped and put my theme in. Oh wait, because it's the Batman theme.
Right.
I'm good. Yeah. I'm good with it.
I don't think
good
it's
with Elfman.
I don't think it's as provocative as the news might have seemed.
Yeah, I mean, shit, dude. Even if John Williams popped up and was like, "Hey, I'm the only person who ever wrote a Superman theme," I think Hans Zimmer would be like, "Yeah, he's right."
No, I mean, even in that case, I'd still say you have the Man of Steel theme and you have that to play with. But to say that like the big screen has only ever really seen the one is that tracks.
Yeah.
That tracks with me. I can deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, I took Elfman to be talking about film, and I think he's absolutely right about that, though.
Yeah, I mean, let's put it this way: which other film score made it into one of the most beloved properties, kind of ever, in the superhero? Like, come on, we had it crossover in animation too. It's the only accepted version of hearing. Anyway, I think we all agree here. Is my point.
I mean, the only one that I think of off the top of my head is John Williams' Superman score wound up in Seinfeld a few times. Because Jerry's a huge Superman fan, so every time Jerry does anything heroic, they kind of want to play with that.
Dun, dun.
Yeah. There's only a couple episodes. But, yeah. Anyway. Moving on. Sort of moving on. They did release the song list for the full soundtrack of Justice League. I'm not going to get into all of the track listing names because they're kind of spoilery.
Yeah, I avoid those.
I will say that, I mean, it's not really that spoilery. It's just kind of like, let's just say I know the plot.
Yeah.
I can piece together things now. But, score was composed by Danny Elfman. It also has come together by Gary Clark Jr.
Oh, that was good.
That Beatles cover. The Icky Thump by the White Stripes, and Everybody Knows by Sigrid, I guess. I don't know that last one. And the soundtrack releases on the 10th of November, so just a couple of days from now. It'll be out in the world, and I'll probably get it, because I'm sad and have to.
Yeah. Well, we all have our burdens.
This is the big controversy that everyone was talking about with Cavill, though. He was talking to a website called The Rake, and he was talking about some of the struggles with the DCEU. He said, even if Marvel didn't exist, we would struggle. There was a style they were going for, an attempt to be different and look at things from a slightly different perspective, which hasn't necessarily worked. And he's not saying that that's his personal viewpoint as far as I'm seeing. It just says right there that, critically, it did not work. Like, it's pretty divisive. He says, yes, it has made money, but it has not been a critical success. It hasn't given everything that sensation which superheroes should give the viewer. Again, just stating a fact. He says, I feel like now the right mistakes have been made and they haven't been pandered to, and we can start telling the stories in the way they need to be told. It is even better to come back from a mistake or stylistic error into the correct vein because it will make it seem that much stronger. Wonder Woman was the first step in that right direction. Now, I don't necessarily even agree with that. That feels like, it kind of feels like a kid who has been like taken out of the corner and his teacher asked him, now, what did you do wrong? And he's trying to explain like, okay, well, I guess I shouldn't have thrown the gum in Becky's hair, right? Okay. And I think really what we're going to do is we're going to like try to keep the gum out of Becky's hair and stop throwing gum and things, all the other things too, and things, all that. And, can I go have my snack now?
Right. I would like a juice.
I feel like he was put on the spot a little bit, probably.
Maybe,
That's how it
but
sounds.
I do like how you responded to that. I do. There's something. Do you have a related? Yeah, I'll tell you what. Give me a second. And I don't know because I don't know what you have on the agenda. I have something I want to say about it, but I'll wait on you.
No, go ahead.
Well, because it involves something else that Gal Gadot said, and I
Okay.
didn't know if you
Go
had
for
that
it.
involved or if you were going to talk about what she did. And I forget the details, but I happened upon one of the quotes she had, and it sounded very similar. So this is what I was going to mention earlier: is it sounds like they've gotten to a point internally where they've gotten around the corner, and now we know we're changing what we're doing. And it's given the people involved a little bit of freedom to kind of talk about it. Because that's the quote that I was going to say is pretty honest. Yeah.
Okay.
It feels a little more honest than normal. Like you literally, most of the time when you hear somebody talk about a criticism of a thing they're involved with, they do close rank. And this felt like it's not a protest or anything, but it is a slight departure from that. That he didn't exactly like pull in, toe the line, hit rank and file, all that kind of crap. He did actually offer an honest opinion.
Yeah.
And God, I kind of appreciated it. It was a little bit of I don't know. It was refreshing. But to me it indicates that the previous attitude in approaching these films, that indie attitude we were talking about before, may be not completely, but somewhat past tense. That they've decided there is definitely a direction change that is happening. We're not talking sea change, just an adjustment of course that is at this point so I don't know, inundated into what they're doing that they're comfortable talking about it and having it sound like that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm of two minds about it. I kind of feel like part of me is just like, no, don't admit fault. But
That's understandable.
but you know, I've had my own issue. What's sickening to me is like, even though I've had my own issues with this stuff, not all of those issues are things they're addressing. In some ways, they're going against what I want. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I don't know. You just have to wait. I guess I'll just have to wait and see. I don't know. I don't know. They're like, oh, a lot of audiences and critics were like, oh, well, Eisenberg was awful. He was the Riddler from Forever or whatever. And I'm like, no, this is what an actual villain who has quirks and, is fully fleshed out looks like. Is he the Lex I would have made for the movie? No. But it's more interesting than we've seen in most superhero movies.
Yeah. It was
then, like,
a completely different take, and it's believable if you actually, think about it for a second.
You don't even have to think about it. He lays out every reason that he's doing everything in the movie. Like, he's incredibly self-aware.
That is true.
But,
now, is it convoluted? Sure it is.
Absolutely.
But did he have a reason? Yeah, he did. Was it maybe the most...
really philosophically sound reason, I would say.
It was, yeah. Philosophically, I don't think he had any problems. In execution, there may have been some things he could have probably tidied up.
Yeah.
But,
Maybe if Eisenberg had died, they would have said that it was genius like they did with Ledger, because that scheme wasn't exactly the most tidy either.
Actually, that's the thing that's the thing that I would liken it to the most. I wasn't going to mention it, but now that you have, yeah, that's absolutely what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Is like Ledger's schemes were no less convoluted.
Right.
I mean, he probably could have used a healthy shave from Occam's razor, both of them, but they
a little bit. I like that. But no, I mean, I don't mean to be macabre or anything, but, kind of feels like they gave a lot of leeway to The Dark Knight.
They did.
But bashed BVS for a lot of the same things.
There are
that
times
they,
where it feels like
lauded.
Now, I don't think
Anyway.
Eisenberg's performance was as groundbreaking as Ledger.
No.
But I don't think
Well,
the fact that his award was posthumous was the reason he got it. I think he would have deserved it anyway. But you know what's sad though is I think he deserved the award, but I think the reason he got it and that it's like the exception in award season for superhero movies is probably because he passed away.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And he was
I don't
such a
think
respected
that-
actor that they
I mean,
wanted
I
to give him
wasn't-
something, and this was a great thing to give him. And he deserved it. There's other people in superhero movies that have deserved that kind of accolades, but it's never.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't even talking about the Academy Award. Just I feel like people are afraid to, really lobby any criticism against The Dark Knight because, like, oh, I don't want to talk about Ledger. I don't want to speak, and you're not speaking ill of Ledger. He was an actor who passed away tragically. He was a fantastic actor, but
And
he didn't write the script.
He's 100%. There's not a frame of that movie where I would fault him at all. It's just his story is pretty damn convoluted too. So
yeah. But anyway. Moving on. I don't know. I don't know what I was talking about to begin with.
it happens.
I've fallen out of step with myself. So comicbook.com was asking the Justice League stars about the difference between Snyder and Whedon as far as their directing styles and asking about the transition. Affleck said, people don't understand how much of the film is designed in pre. I found as a director you can maybe change 10%, 15% on the day. We really had Zack's ship set sail for us. We were fortunate in that when Zack was unable to continue, we got a guy who... I got the sense that Joss was working from what he had discussed with Zack before he stepped in. And then Deborah Snyder was there, who was obviously married to Zack. Mm-hmm. And she said, for us, the whole thing is so bittersweet because we had been working on this franchise for the past almost 8 years. And then we moved on to Batman v Superman, and also Zack developed the story for Wonder Woman, which was leading up to the point of Justice League. Not being able to complete his vision was extremely difficult. That's pretty telling. But we'll go on. Yeah, well, makes it hard, but we...
Yeah, I mean, he had a very compelling reason not to be able to make it back to work. It felt... Yeah. I mean, you got to feel for him on a creator level. It's like, that's...
Absolutely.
Sucks all the way around.
Absolutely, but, I'm saying that, a lot of the reports have been like, oh, no, Zack's vision is completely, intact. I'm just saying it from that viewpoint. Like, if Deborah has the notion that his vision wasn't complete, you could take it in that vein as opposed to just him not being able to be there.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Take it as a matter of execution or a matter of change.
Just him not being there, yeah. She said that makes it hard, but we were lucky that we had Joss already working on script pages. Our feeling is we hope people don't think about how the movie was made because these characters are bigger than any director. That's also kind of telling. But, my sympathies are with her and Zack.
Sure.
So, and I'll say, I'm in a strange position here because, a movie by Zack Snyder with touch-ups by Joss Whedon sounds like my dream thing,
It's, yeah. I mean, it sounds pretty fantastic. Like, we like what Snyder's done in a lot of cases. I like where he comes out of the gate. And then, yeah, sure, there are some times where I kind of wish there was a little bit of reining it in. Well, a little bit about just a little bit of editing in general. But I like where he comes from. And then, if you told me, like, well, what if we could have Whedon sit down with this after he finished principal photography and kind of take it from there, I would think, oh my God, when did I die?
Yeah.
What happened? Was it painless?
So producer Charles Roven added, it's been a great privilege and fun to work with Zack and Debbie and all of the actors in the various films. It's been actually, in a wonderful way, a great learning experience and great life experience. Not to have Zack there, to have Joss come in. He was already working with Zack. And we're just really happy with the movies and how great these characters are and infused by this talent. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of, it all kind of feels a little bit like toeing the party line a little bit. Like,
see, that's a nice contrast of like what Cavill said for me.
I'm like, yep, that sounds like a company line. That feels like someone got an email, a memorandum suggesting how they should probably answer. Still, it comforts me to no end to know that Zack and Joss were communicating before.
Oh, absolutely.
So it just, despite all the subtleties of who said what, some of the semantics, the narrative to me is a passing of the baton, not in any way a going away from, like taking what do they call it, like fresh eyes, or that's how Hollywood describes it a lot of times. We're going to get some fresh eyes on this. Or we're going to go in a different direction. The narrative to me is more like baton style.
Yeah.
Which is comforting. And I need to be comforted for another 11 days.
God, 11 days.
Well, 10 days,
That's
actually.
crazy.
We're going to see it on... Yeah, we're going to see it on...
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
All right, so, all right then.
Yeah.
I know you don't care too much for Curb Your Enthusiasm and Larry David, but they Justice League and HBO's Curb Your Enthusiasm put out this great teaser for Curb, and you have this like very trailery narrator talking about a world needs a hero and blah blah blah, and we keep seeing the various members of the League from the movie. And then you see Commissioner Gordon turn on the bat signal, except it's not the bat signal, it's the Larry signal. And it's like just a giant Larry David in the sky. And we see Larry laying in his bed reading, and he looks up and he goes,
I'm not gonna.
And then the phone rings and he goes, turn the light off, I'm not going.
And then presumably Gordon just turns it immediately off.
Yeah. This season of Curb Your Enthusiasm is fantastic. I love that show. I'm a huge fan of Larry David. So yeah, that was a lot of fun for me. And much as you say for people who didn't like BVS, I'm sorry you couldn't enjoy it, Jason.
I don't have any hate for it. Any of his products. It's not a matter of any. It just doesn't affect me in a way. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. There's like an ennui when I'm watching some of his stuff. I'm like, yeah. And the funny part is, you've done this to me before, where you've shown me scripts from Seinfeld, and I looked at them and literally laughed reading them, and then kind of handed you the book back and was like, I don't know. I've seen that episode before, but I laughed at the script. I didn't laugh when I watched it. I don't know what to tell you.
That's so weird.
It is. I can't justify all of my actions, and this is one of them.
Yeah. I mean, that's, our friend Brandon does the same thing, where like I'll tell him a bit and he'll laugh his butt off, but then.
But don't you actually watch it?
Like,
nah, I don't care to watch it.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know, it's funny. It's funny ideas. It's funny writing. I hate everybody involved. Okay. Jason Momoa has acquiesced to the internet and admitted that, or said that he is aware that his quote-unquote Trident in Justice League isn't an actual trident. He says it's a quindent. He says we don't call it that in the movie, and when you watch Aquaman, you're going to see him go for the trident, so everyone's just got to stay tuned for a hot minute.
Oh, nice.
Apparently the quindent is on loan to him from Mira, and he's not the king yet, so he doesn't get the trident.
Gotcha. But he does get a pitchfork, as Batman calls it.
Yeah. Now, Henry Cavill was talking about Justice League. He says, I'm not going to say it's light, because that would be doing it an injustice. It has a serious scenario with moments of humor and lightness peppered throughout, which, as much as people say it isn't close to reality, and as much as this does have senses of very much not being like reality, when people are in bad situations, gallows humor does come into effect. I know a lot of guys in the armed forces, and a lot of them have a really bizarre sense of humor, and it gets you through, and we have those. We have those in this movie. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
It sounds good. I dig gallows humor.
It is. I heard it.
I get through my entire day. I'm not even in the armed forces.
And yet, somehow, yeah. I enjoy that, what do they call it? Droll? I even heard about a story the other day from somebody who they had PTSD leaving 4 tours of duty overseas. And in one particular occasion, his entire platoon came under attack. Several men lost. He never mentally got back from that moment. But the people around him actually said that he was pretty funny
because like he was cracking jokes. Like that's one of the things they really remembered is like he was cracking jokes the whole time. Like while he was organizing and planning and getting us out of there, he was cracking jokes. But he didn't remember a single thing he said. Just weird. But it is a very human instinct, is my point.
Yeah. So, apparently Barry Allen isn't the Flash in the Justice League.
He's not the Flash in movies anymore, I guess, either. So, or in movie titles.
Well, he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't know what he's called yet. Apparently, Ezra Miller says Barry is just Barry. There's even a scene that was cut from the movie where he's going on and on about it. About what he's in.
I hope that at least shows up in a special. I would love to see him do that.
Yeah. He says,
"Why don't I have a name?"
Was that scene cut?
All that stuff. Yeah.
He was like, "Why was that scene cut from the movie?" But yeah, he's going on and on trying to figure out who he should be and what he should call himself. So yeah, he doesn't have a superhero name yet, which is fine.
It is fine, but I hope that better be on the deleted scenes. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, we went through a whole season of The Flash without him having a name. So
sure. We went through what 9 seasons of Smallville?
Yeah, 10. Something like that.
What was it, like 7 or 8 years in before they started calling him the Blur?
They called Barry the same thing on The Flash.
Yeah, it was nice.
So here's the thing. A whole bunch of clips were released. Yes, I have seen the Danny Elfman theme used in a clip. I don't know how I feel about it. You would think that I would be very happy about it, but it seemed a little weird to me.
I'll ask you on the day how that went over.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you
context.
Sit on that, ruminate for a minute, then
yeah.
Then we'll get back to you.
So yeah, I need to see it in context.
Yeah.
But there's a whole lot of clips out there. We're not talking about them all because they get really pretty spoilery. Not really as far as like in depth, but a lot of cool little character moments and fun things that are happening.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily mind watching those before the movie.
I do, and that's why I appreciate the fact that we don't really talk about them. Is like,
yep, that's why we're not talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, really, because I know I'm not alone. Like there are people like me that just want to go into a movie with as little information as possible as it relates to what is actually going to happen during the movie. Like, there's always going to be a couple of big reveals that I have to avoid, and that's fine. I mean, I know that, but even like the subtle little moments where like. The old thing about like a joke's not funny the second time you hear it. So every time you see a trailer and there's a joke in there, I'm like, well, okay, well, I'm not going to appreciate that as much when it gets around. There's just a depleting effect to seeing so many clips that, I mean, great example was I saw Thor yesterday, saw Ragnarok yesterday, and I'm just saying this because it's fresh in my mind. But yeah, there were a couple clips from the trailers that I kept watching for the entire time. Knowing, well, I haven't seen this moment, so this must have to happen later, and blah, blah, blah. And like, I don't like to have to sit there and do that kind of narrative math. I just want to watch the movie.
Yeah, especially when it's like Suicide Squad and those moments never come.
I actually think there's one in Ragnarok that I didn't see. I wanted to run over it with you when you go see it later. Let me know.
Yeah. I'll be watching it Wednesday.
I was going to have a huddle with you about like, did they not use this one part? Did I just miss it? I did go to the bathroom at some point.
Well, yeah. But yeah, we will. We've been asked several times if we're going to be doing a review for Ragnarok, and we will. It'll be in, I don't know, probably a post credits in a couple weeks.
That's about right.
All right, so moving on to Aquaman. Jason Momoa was talking about how Zack brought him in. He says he definitely wanted this outlaw Josie Wales. He wanted someone that wasn't accepted in Atlantis, wasn't accepted on land. He really was this outsider and lived on the fringes of society. We talked about him just being raised with his father, this blue-collar worker. His father was a lighthouse keeper, but I probably worked on oil rigs. I'd be underwater and I could just rip the rig off and just weld. That would explain the whole he saved Superman and Man of Steel.
That actually would be fantastic.
Yeah. Momoa says, and that was when I was alone. There's people that I would save, that I could save, and there's people that I couldn't. The human side of me is that heartbreak of me. That heartbreak of he couldn't save someone, not knowing what to do with these powers. He was a drinker. He just downed that emotion. He couldn't ever get that out. You're going to see that I really wanted him to be that gruff thing, because he has to become king. If Justice League is like seeing him at his lowest, and not just his lowest, but his loneliness that I wanted about him. So when we get to Aquaman, you know why he became that, and how he had been put in that lonely spot. and how he has to bring these two worlds together, because you're going to see this ocean world, which we just pollute, and how do these people feel underwater with that, with what the land does to the ocean, and this war that is going to come between the two. And I'm the only one that can link the two. He has to do it. He doesn't want to do it. And then talking about the tone of the Aquaman movie, he says, in the story, we're going to see a couple of different younger versions of me, and even before I was born. So you'll know where my mother came from, Atlantis. We've got to establish 7 different kingdoms and the threat. Surpassing Justice League, this moment in time is his call to become king. The only thing that can save Atlantis is me fighting my own brother. There's a big battle, and there's an epic fight. It's also a big road movie because we travel all over the world. It's got that Star Wars quality of gigantic ships and guys riding sharks. I don't remember guys riding sharks in Star Wars, Jason. It's going to be this whole world you've never seen before.
There was a search for a whale in Star Trek, if that's what he's trying to remember, but don't recall that.
You're going to see him start as this guy who probably rides bikes, works on cars. You get to see him this one way as kind of a dirty, dark drunkard, and then turn into this regal king. I'm down for all that, man.
Yeah. By the way, I meant to mention this to you earlier. Star Trek reminded me. I had a guy come into work today, and I asked him for the name on a project he was working on, and he said Tribble. He said, "Yeah, I know it's not a very popular name." And I actually kind of smirked and went, "Well, in some places that is overpopular." He didn't understand what I was talking about, but it made me laugh.
That's funny. Oh man. All right, so Variety is reporting that Asher Angel has been cast as the young Billy Batson in Shazam. This is a kid who is on the Disney Channel show Andy Mack. I've never seen it. No. Never heard of it. Don't know of it. Sandberg posted a picture of it, though. Posted a picture of Zachary Levi with a comparison photo of the kid.
This works for me.
Yeah, he looks the part, right?
Yeah, this works for me.
Now, Sandberg has been posting all these things on Instagram of the Coke can tower, the tower of Coke Zeros.
The one that, as I'm looking at it, is still in the background.
Yeah.
Zachary Levi's photo.
Yeah. Well, a couple days ago, he released a video, a slow motion video of a Black Adam action figure flying into the tower of Coke cans and toppling them.
Nice.
And then in the background, it cuts to normal speed, and you hear somebody in the background go, "Oh no!" And then a girl go, "He meant to do it. He did it on purpose." But the caption said, "Day 49, last day at the LA office." So that was wrapping.
So that was how they did that. You might as well have torn it down.
Yeah.
They don't sell Coke Zero anymore, I think, properly. There's been a change.
I don't know for sure. Don't drink the stuff myself.
Thought they were changing to Coke Zero Sugar or something. I don't know. There was some branding idea that.
Yeah.
You know how it goes.
They were like, "Oh, sex sells. We'll just call it Coke O."
Yeah. What's this over here? It's Coke Penis. And the product to its right? Do I have to say it? It's Coke Vagina. Why is that not clear? Do we need to reshape the can?
And finally, Coke can.
Yeah.
Coke fanny. Anyway. That was awesome. I feel bad about who we are.
Only sometimes. This isn't an occasion that's going to invoke regret. I have to reserve that for specific moments.
Well, it does make me feel better about myself that I only feel bad about this.
Good to know where your line is.
Yeah, that's my line.
Yeah.
I said some dodgy stuff. I don't know what yours is. I don't want to know what yours is.
I don't either, because I've never really found it. I've had my moments of a tinge of regret here and there, but I've never really found a moment where I said something and went,
You've had a tinge of regret. That seems, in hindsight, that seems a bit untoward.
Yeah, I've had moments like that, but I've never really thought, my own appreciation of me as a person has been seriously hurt. I've never... And I wonder what it would take to do that, but... Between my ego and my, I'll call it, elastic sense of morals, we haven't found that crossroads.
Oh. Moving on. Grace Fulton is apparently in talks, according to reports, to join Shazam. Grace Fulton is is a girl that starred in Annabelle Creation, which was a Sandberg film, so that makes sense.
Sure.
I haven't heard anything about who she might play though, so
Yeah.
But this is exciting though. Mark Strong is apparently in talks to play Dr. Savannah in Shazam.
Mark Strong. Oh, Green Lantern?
Sinestro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. There were problems with that movie. He wasn't among them.
You're not wrong. I was perfectly on board. Like, I'm okay, I'll get lambasted for this. Bombasted. I'll get lambasted for this, but, I don't think Green Lantern was bad enough to keep out of the DCEU. Just bring it back. Just slip it right in.
Honestly, I think you could probably incorporate... I think it has at least as much respect as, say, that first Hulk film.
Yeah.
I mean, the Norton
just do
one,
like a
not
soft
the
reboot.
bad...
Yeah.
I don't even remember who that guy was.
Eric Bana.
Eric Bana, thank you. And I think his was the Hulk, and the one that stuck, I say with quotations in my hands, was the Incredible Hulk. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
I don't think Green Lantern would be any more embarrassing a property than the Incredible Hulk is to the MCU.
Right.
Because there are people who make worst of lists that I swear just forget that that's part of it, and just go ahead and put Thor 2 Dark World right there.
Yeah. Anyway.
Unfair for many reasons, but we'll go into that some other time.
I blame Kat Dennings. I really don't. I don't like her at all, but you know.
You gotta have somebody. You gotta have somebody dependent on it. It's the nature of it.
Well, I don't want to pin it on Christopher Eccleston. I felt like he was criminally underused in that movie.
Yeah.
As I've said before. I feel like I said that last week, too. Feels wrong with me. Anyway.
Possible. We do that all the time.
Yeah, I know. So, this kid from Stranger Things, this Dacre Montgomery, posted a picture of Nightwing, needlessly causing a stir. And now he actually put it on not only on his Twitter, but also on his Instagram. He's removed both posts now. They've been deleted, which means somebody got to him. And Chris McKay, who I would like to point out, his Twitter avatar is of Nightwing. The director of Nightwing has Nightwing as his avatar, which is appropriate. He says, We haven't started the process of casting Nightwing yet, but when we do, you'll hear something because our search will be far and wide. I wonder if they had actually talked about casting that kid, and then he did that shit, and they were like, we can't trust you.
Yeah, we're gonna... If you can't make it through this part of the NDA. Oh my.
Yep.
The troubles we'll see upcoming.
Anyway. Hey, so that asshole who wrote the Wall Street Journal thing earlier about how Justice League is too mainstream, also said on Twitter that Flashpoint, that his sources say that Flashpoint is close to having a director. Actually, it wasn't even his sources. He said Toby Emmerich said it. Toby Emmerich. So,
all right,
it's a damn fine source.
Yeah, we'll see though.
All right, well, that's gonna do it for our movie news. Now, if you don't keep up with the shows or you're behind, I mean, shoot, dude, I'm behind on the TV shows. I haven't watched anything last week except for Gotham and Lucifer. But if you're behind, you don't want to hear this next segment because we're getting into the DC TV news, then I will simply tell you, remember to subscribe to us on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can hit us up on Twitter and Facebook. Actually, this is the last news episode we're going to be doing until... well, we're not going to be doing one next week. We're just going to be going straight to Justice League. So this is the last one until Justice League, and then we'll have a news episode that following Tuesday drop.
Right.
So yeah, and that should be the one with the Thor Ragnarok review in the stinger.
Yeah,
But
I expect it there.
when we do the Justice League review, we're gonna try something a little different, a little new for us, and we're gonna be as we're recording it to put it up into the feed, we're gonna be doing it Facebook Live. So
For better or worse.
for better or worse, God help us. And if you would like to be privy to that, follow us on Twitter and Facebook. I'll put out a tweet letting you guys know we're about to go live, and then I think there's probably some, push notification mechanism on Facebook for it, but go like the page, DC on Screen. Anyway, getting over into DC TV, something that's annoyed me now, Gotham has now recast Poison Ivy again. Peyton List is the new and, quote, dangerous Poison Ivy. The producers say in the continuing evolution of Poison Ivy's origin story, Ivy Pepper has been transformed once again, taking another step toward becoming the Ivy we know from the comics, dangerous, a live wire of crazy energy. She'll set her sights on Gotham, intent on making the city her own green paradise. Now, if you watch The Flash, you know her as Golden Glider. Mm-hmm. So there is that.
I first learned about her on CW's The Tomorrow People.
Oh.
It's the first time I ran across the actress.
Maggie Gayha, who was playing Ivy up until this point, having taken over from Claire Foley, on her Instagram said, as Claire Foley once said, "Peace, Gotham. Best of luck to the new Ivy." So I'm sad to see Maggie go. I had really grown to like her, honestly. So
yeah, she'd gone there.
Fun.
But I have a problem with this for several reasons. A lot of obvious ones. Like, why are we doing this? Why are we still recasting this character? Now, the producer's clarification that there is some in-story version of why this is necessary it's better. And I actually strangely prefer they do it to the same character twice than spread it around, because I would start to feel like, well, when are you going to recast him? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, is Donald Logue going to be there the whole time, or are you going to decide he gets touched by some mutant somewhere? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's nice to have it confined in a way, I suppose, but it's still like, come on, man. Let's focus on this character and make it.
You know what I kind
of
want to do? I kind of want to do like a modern version. You remember the show Soap?
Oh God, no! But that sounds familiar.
It's where Benson came from. Benson was a spinoff of Soap, and it was basically a show where it was like a soap opera, but it was a comedy. It was like where Billy Crystal pretty much got his start. It's a pretty fantastic show. Whereas they would do like a previously on Soap, and then they would just give you like a whole laundry list of ridiculous antics and just nutso plot points that happened in the previous episode. And then the announcer would go, "Confused? You won't be after this episode of Soap." And it was just ridiculous and hilarious. I would love to do more of a modern take of that, but also throw in the soap opera trope of just randomly recasting people. Just like you tune into an episode and maybe the previously on, they've the channel they don't really do previously ons on soap operas, I don't think anymore, or at all, ever. But, just do like the previously on, but have, someone else has recorded like the scenes that another actor did on the show, and just like the only reason you even know that and you're like, oh, this is Ethan, is just like everyone on the show calls him Ethan that first episode, so you know that it's Ethan.
Oh yeah, over exposition, the whole thing.
But just make it a joke, an ongoing joke in the show. I don't know. Anyway, moving on.
Nice, I can deal with that.
Michael Cerveris.
I don't know. I just wanted to sound confident. In the event that I'm right, I would have sounded great, right?
All right. Michael Cervix talked to CBR.com
Might as well.
about his Professor Pig run on Gotham. They asked him specifically about Grant Morrison's description of Pig as one of the weirdest, most insane characters that has ever been in Batman. His response, "I remember reading that statement when I was preparing for the role. I went and bought all of the Grant Morrison comics and all the others Pig appeared in. I knew that was the bar we were hoping to clear, and that fans would be expecting to see something like that. I have to say, at every level, I've been amazed to see how the Gotham team have met or exceeded that challenge. I kept saying to the producers, directors, and writers, 'Are you sure sure you can do this on network television? This is on at 8 p.m. Are you sure I can do this? They were like, yep, that's what we do here. Which I wonder if that's, yep, we've seen the ratings. Nobody's watching.
That's not true. Their ratings are still...
I know.
They're still chilling. They're not in any real danger of not being renewed right now.
Yeah.
I did like
the real truth was like, yeah, you're old. S&P has changed.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot to do with it, probably. Also, this guy's like got a lot of stage credit. He's not necessarily used to that.
Yeah, he's actually doing a pretty cool job. I'm enjoying this season of Gotham for the most part.
I really am. I've been pretty pleased with it, and I like where he's going. When they announced that they were going to bring that character on, it was one of the least interesting things I've ever heard, and so help me, he's compelling so far. So
No, are you caught up on Gotham?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this last episode where like
in the Narrows?
Penguin just like it was like Penguin
Night
just
in the
like
Narrows or whatever?
Yeah, whatever it was. Yeah, Penguin's like stabs the shit out of Headhunter and stabs him again. He goes, the second one's my signature. I was just saying, I love Penguin so much.
I had a moment where I was like, oh, welcome back, buddy.
I was like sad because I was like,
ruthless tuna loving son of a bitch. I've missed you.
I really enjoyed Headhunter, and I kind of wanted to see more of his interaction with Penguin, but that was pretty great.
That was pretty great. That's a great way to go. As Lonesome Dove would have said, he died good.
And his interaction with the little girl was fantastic. Just the constant moving of the little girl at the orphanage.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Yeah, I really have
Lord
enjoyed.
Taylor's just
I have enjoyed Gotham so far. He's never not been killing it, man. I feel like every now and then they put him in a situation where it's too extreme one way or the other. But so like every now and then I think like, that's such an over the top moment. But I never want to blame him because he plays it with this intensity level that you just gotta love, man. This guy could be eating a piece of toast, and I would be like, what is going to happen to that toast? Is he going to betray that toast?
It's funny you mentioned eating though, because like a couple weeks ago when he ate that soup or whatever, dude, he killed it. He killed that scene. Like the tears in his eyes, the reaction to his mother's recipe, and then like the sudden inescapable rage that she must have tricked him somehow. Oh my gosh, that was great.
It was good. He's been really entertaining the entire time. I've really loved his Penguin, man.
And it's fun watching Sophia Falcone like break down Penguin and like just she's good. She's a good actress.
Give me 2 weeks, and
I'm digging her.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I think they got the right parts out of the Long Halloween at least.
Oh yeah. Moving on over to Supergirl though. Let's talk about have you seen this new Rain costume?
I have.
Looks kind of awful.
I'm half and half on it. I actually like the bottom half a lot. For. Like I say bottom half. Neck down, I like it a lot. It looks cool. It just
the mask is a little weird.
The mask is a little weird as all. But I still, like you said,
I'm not sure about the pony or the unicorn horn hanging from her shoulder. It's a little weird.
That's a little odd, sure. But I also think like Shazam's cape being off shift is a little weird. So I don't know. Asymmetry to some extent doesn't kill me, but like I like the design. I like the whole like skull inside the crest. It's just that looks a little weird up top, and I get what they were going for because it does kind of look. I don't know. It has. You can tell it's inspired by the comic book design.
Well,
it does look off. They wanted to like frame that like orbital structure, whatever the thing is between your eyebrows and your cheeks, whatever part of your skeleton that is. Like they wanted to kind of frame that and that. I get it, but
well,
in the end, the headpiece looked weird. That's what it amounted to for me. It was like, I get what you're going for, but why does she need a headpiece?
Yeah, honestly, I was really hoping they would go less the, hey, here's an evil Supergirl, which that never even occurred to me. Like, when I actually saw the picture, I went, well, that's a mistake. Because in the comics, she actually looked like a female Doomsday in a lot of ways.
Yes, I agree.
So, they should have done that.
And that would have worked. I I don't mind her looking like an evil Supergirl. That's fine. I just and I really, it's just everything but the headgear. Everything but the headgear I was on board with.
I mean, I'm not saying they should necessarily put her in the bikini top and all, but
No.
I was kind of looking forward to the female Doomsday version of this.
Yeah, you're not gonna get that part.
That's I'm not gonna lie, man. That's disappointing as hell.
Well, these shows, they give and they take.
They do. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. Oh, Supergirl cast Jesse Rath as Brainiac 5 for the Legion of Superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse Rath of Defiance. So, he's going to be a recurring character. According to the report, he's going to be half computer, half organic life form, as is Brainiac 5. You will use his 12th level intellect to travel back in time to present-day National City to assist Supergirl in battling the villain Rain. So, I'm down with that. A little more Legion. They've already, cast Saturn Girl.
Yeah.
And Kreisberg teases someone down the road will like Kara a lot, which will be a lot of fun. And, in the books, Brainiac 5 and Supergirl got it on, as Chris Farley would say. So, that's probably who they're talking about. Mm-hmm. Over on The Flash, Kreisberg is talking about their goals for Season 4. He says, my goal for the year was that people would think I got fired and they brought somebody new on.
It's a nice take.
He did laugh at that during the interview. He says, I think there's a public perception that might be that we really felt like we needed to make a course correction after last season. And for us, it was really we just don't want to keep doing the same thing that we've always done. Our goal was, if the previous seasons were Raiders of the Lost Ark, this season was Last Crusade, where we were actually commenting on the silliness of the show and just wanting everybody to just have a good time and have it be funny. And right now, I think people are craving a little bit of that. It's a tough world, and having 42 minutes of just pure, unadulterated joy, I think, is something people are keen for. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
He also talked about Wally leaving. He says a lot of times Barry had to get knocked out so Wally could save the day, or Wally had to get knocked out so Barry could save the day. It's difficult having two speedsters on the show, creatively and financially.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
I wondered how they were going to get away with that.
He also promised Wally would return in episode 7, so don't despair, guys.
You shall return. And guess what that's right before? Crossover. You'll have him in time to see him interact with everyone else.
Yeah. So apparently the executive producers know Season 5's story already. According to Kevin Smith's tweet, the Flash executive producers already know where Season 5 is going. Smith tweeted, we just ate at Jerry's Deli with Andrew Kreisberg. He told me the story of next season's The Flash. I now have to stay alive one more year.
I actually can appreciate his sentiment, because there have been many times where I looked at a piece of news and saw that a show was picked up for the next year and thought, okay, well, I obviously can't die yet.
No. It's like I just keep driving more and more carefully.
Yeah. I might even at some point use a seatbelt. I'm not sure yet. I don't want to get...
Right.
We'll see. It's on the table.
Now, apparently the EPs of The Flash have wanted to bring in the Elongated Man for a while, but we're waiting for the right time. They could use the character to create a certain dynamic within the show. According to Andrew Kreisberg, he told TV Line, we really wanted to bring somebody in and have it feel like like something new and different, and something you hadn't seen, a lot of on television, and not just his skill set, but also that character. Shows that have 7 years or 8 years or 9 years, they always have that new character come in around season 3 or 4 or 5 that helps take you through their way. Obviously, they're not similar characters, but I'm thinking about Faith on Buffy. That was sort of our hope for Ralph. That's fine. I am not a fan of Faith on Buffy, but, like they said, not similar characters, so I think I'll give it a shot.
I do like Faith on Buffy. Like not the first year she was there, but she developed in a way, like a lot of characters in the Buffy universe, like she developed in a way that I appreciated. I wouldn't mind if they spent that much time on this kind of character. But I like what he's going for. Is like there's another investigator in the mix, and there's another person with powers in the mix, and we got to see how this dynamic plays out.
Yeah.
And they're doing it with somebody they can toss away rather than trying to change Wally's character completely.
Right.
I think it's smart.
Yeah, Never cared for Faith too much. I liked some of the character stuff later on, but 5x5B. Ugh, shut up.
Yeah, that got a little weird. But honestly, like first half, second half, good.
Yeah,
That's about how I would describe like her portrayal on that show.
Yeah, like once they like break her out of prison and she's like trying to like shoot Angel or whatever with Angelus with crossbows and stuff, and like Angel, and he's like catching the arrows and shit. That was badass. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, that was a big boy scene, no matter how you cut it. Absolutely.
Anyway, over to Legends. A new set picture shows a monitor with footage of Matt Ryan's Constantine talking to Brandon Routh's Ray Palmer. Normally we don't comment on set pics for various reasons, but it's just so exciting to see the Hellblazer back in costume. Just couldn't be helped.
Yay!
Yeah, that was really the reason. We had to just mention it so Jason would have a chance to
Yay!
squeal.
I
news.
I grinned ear to ear, man. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just seeing him there.
Well, try to stay in the mindset, buddy. Try to stay in the mindset. That was Wentworth Miller. Posted, currently shooting some of my final episodes as Captain Cold / Leonard Snart on CW's Legends of Tomorrow and The Flash. This was on his Instagram. He says, grateful now and in advance to a pair of talented cast and hardworking crews. Thank you. I've had a tremendous time playing this character. It's been an opportunity, an education, and a freaking blast. With love and respect, WM. Wentworth Miller. I was not aware that his time was coming to a close this quickly.
No, that hit me pretty abruptly. I saw that just before we started recording and thought, oh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sad about all
And
that.
by just before, I mean like seconds before.
Yeah. I saw it seconds before and added it.
Yep.
But yeah, sad day.
It is. We will miss you, Wentworth.
They're like, Wentworth, you're not coming back? And he was like, I say we put 2 in the back of the head and call it a day. Still the best part of Legends of Tomorrow ever.
I'm just still glad
It just is.
I'm just still glad you get to use that line. You loved it so much.
I know. Over on Arrow, apparently, David Ramsey was talking to S. Diggle. For those who don't keep up with their real names, was talking to TV Line about Richard Dragon. He says, I almost said something that would give it away, but Ricardo Diaz ends up being someone very important to Diggle specifically. His thread plays out on a relationship with Diggle particularly. And he also confirmed his length of time on as being at Green Arrow. He says when asked about how and when he personally was told that Diggle was using to get his hand under control, David Ramsey told TV Insider, well, you find that out near the end of the arc. I want to say it's a 5-episode arc. So right around the end of this Arrow run is around the same time you find out what is happening, and you've already seen some of the characters that will be kind of instrumental in his story. He added, concerning the crossover, by the time you see the crossover, we've dealt with this issue. But John Diggle's in the crossover. The team is in the crossover. So we get back to some of the sense of normalcy by the time this all plays out.
So apparently you've only got 3 episodes more of Arrow Diggle?
He says, I think it's, I'm talking about Diggle's drug use, he says, I think it's great for John Diggle, who's always been kind of a bastion of integrity and morality. Has he? You can't tell her the truth, Oliver. She'll never forgive you.
There's a lot of white lie philosophizing, but overall his point is valid.
Yeah. Diggle, who's always kind of a bastion of integrity and morality, but now he's taking drugs to continue the mission of the team, and we're going to see that this becomes less of a moral question about his need for the drug, this performance-enhancing drug, but it becomes about his lust for it, and to continue the mission, it becomes tunnel vision, and the team and mission gets compromised because of it. He adds, we just go deeper into the pit of where he is with this drug, and his need for it to continue to perform at the level he's performing at. There's more of Diggle missing the moral mark than he's so prone to always hit. Now, in a separate interview with TV Insider, he got more specific. He says, it's going to be less of him feeling guilty and more, I have to have the drug. I have to have the drug. I have to keep the charade up in order for the missions to be successful. So that means I must have the drug. I don't want to say it's an addiction story. This isn't Lance. I love that he just throws that out there.
Yeah.
This isn't the struggle that Lance has had and continues to have, and Laurel had, which is a very important story. So this isn't. Let's now talk about drug and substance abuse. It's not that. This story is framed in such a way that it is meant to illuminate the fact that you're looking at John Diggle you've seen before in a sense that his morality and his moral compass has been compromised. And to that extent, the drug he is secretly using is used to facilitate that. And then finally, in an interview with TV Line, he says this will have a ripple effect that will be felt throughout the first part of the season. So yeah, it just sounds exactly what I didn't want it to be.
Well, the liberating part for me is that he specifically mentions we're not doing Lance and Laurel.
Uh-huh.
Now, Laurel...
Except for all the parts where they are.
Well, not necessarily. All we know right now is what, 7 seconds of footage of him injecting himself in a dark alley?
Mm-hmm.
In a clandestine meeting?
Which is where one injects oneself.
Yeah. It's clearly the best place. But the thing I really like about it is I think they've done a pretty well fleshed out story with Lance's addiction problems. But with Laurel's, it hasn't done justice to that problem. Let me put it that way.
Right.
That it's been kind of a shortened, like a bridged version that hasn't really fleshed out an addiction problem like it should be. So like I would pray that they don't do another Laurel story like that, because oh my god, don't do that again.
By the way, you know what? I read something this week.
Mm-hmm.
That the type of wine that Laurel kept drinking was Pinot Noir.
Mm-hmm.
And which means
about
black
9%?
pine cone.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Which means black pine cone. But one of the only places in America that it's made is Canary Hill. So that was their way of doing Black Canary.
Well, fantastic as that is. Which
that makes me like it
to me
about
now
1% more.
The best part of that storyline is that Easter egg.
Yeah, me too.
And I would like to meet the poor writer or intern that hooked that up. For God's sake, we should probably try to track that person down and just say, will you talk to us? How did you manage to contribute something beautiful to this storyline that was not?
And they'll be like, I can't really talk about that. Or they'll be like, well, what kind of cereal do you like?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Like Laurel's storyline was just a bit weak. It didn't flesh out the problem. I don't know. We've gone into it before, but it was weak in a lot of ways. And Lance's at least has addressed the problem, I don't know, a little more comprehensively, I guess I'll say.
Yeah.
It feels like they've given the appropriate amount of context and tribute to the fact that this is a problem and really let his character work it out.
Yeah.
Including relapses. That's a very important part to me of portraying this kind of situation.
Yeah, one of the most powerful things I've seen in regard to his to his addiction was this season where we come back and he's just sitting there at the bar with those 3 shots in front of him.
Oh,
just staring at him.
That was a good shot. That was a good shot.
Oh man, I know that feeling.
That was a really good shot. There was a shot I'll never forget. Timothy Hutton, the actor, playing in a TNT product called Leverage, which had enough views that I'm sure some people know what I'm talking about. He has an ongoing storyline. I mean, over several seasons, has an ongoing storyline with alcoholism, and there's a point where he actually buys an apartment whose base floor is a bar, and someone describes it as the most Catholic thing they've ever seen him do. And there's a wonderful scene where he just walks into the bar, orders a shot of single malt scotch, sniffs it, puts $20 over the top of it, and walks away. And like that's what that scene reminded me of, was like just sometimes needing to be near it in a way, but having the controls finally in your favor where you can walk away.
Absolutely.
It was one of the more compelling scenes. But I didn't want to see that all. I didn't want a third Diggle story. I even heard people suggesting that Diggle's story would actually have something to do with the Roy Harper story, back from the Adams O'Neill run, and thought, oh, please no.
I had a similar thought. Like, I don't want to see that.
No, absolutely not. No, this is a character that has a ton to offer by himself. Just let him do it. It was the most comforting thing I saw out of all the Arrow news. Was this is not an addiction story, and I sure hope so. I mean, he wants it to be more of a story about I can't. Well, it actually does remind me of like when people were suggesting like, is that Mirakuru? Is that like a version of Mirakuru he's putting in himself? That works for me.
Nah, I don't want to see that either.
I mean, a strain of it or something like that.
Nope. I never want to hear Mirakuru again.
You're
Never.
just done. I mean, you're getting Deathstroke back in like 2 episodes, but you're going to be dealing with some Mirakuru language at least.
Yeah, I got so sick of that with Roy and with Deathstroke. I never want to hear Mirakuru again, ever.
I understand. Well, me and you are both like a little bit done with storylines where it's some kind of drug and it takes over your mind and you can't be held accountable anymore,
Uh-huh.
That wasn't me that shot Sarah. That wasn't me that shot the cop. That kind of crap. But, like, me and you are a little bit on the side of, can we take like a 15-year moratorium for this kind of story and maybe let it sound new again?
Throw that shit in the sun along with I did this to protect you.
Yes. Or I lied to protect you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. We should probably move on.
Yeah, it's probably.
Wendy Miracle explained why she thinks Caden James is 20 times more powerful than Snowden. As Lila Michaels described him in Season 5, she says, he was that way when we first heard his name in Season 5. He's an extraordinarily gifted hacker. Snowden has a moral angle he was taking. Caden James has that, as well as the skills. He is a super genius. At that point, that's how we were thinking of him. Now, when we meet him in Season 6, there have been some changes. Fancy that. He has gone through a trauma, which I won't spoil here, but we will find out about later in the year. That will make us understand why he has taken his skills to a different level, and why he is so angry at Oliver and the team. About Felicity in particular, she added, yeah, he definitely views her as an equal, so that's the threat for him. In many ways, she also feels responsible for what he did in Season 519. The fact that she did, yeah. Sorry. The fact that she unleashes this terror on the world, she feels responsible for trying to find a way to put that genie back in the bottle.
It seems pretty obvious where they're heading with that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. I mean...
She creates Ragman and intensifies Caden James all at once.
Yeah. God, I wish we had Ragman back.
So much.
But yeah, I do hope that Caden James winds up being sort of an anti-hero, sort of a... I really want him to be a bad guy that I can, like, identify with and, like, see where he's coming from. Like, I don't want him to think I am the bad guy. I want him to think he's the good guy in the situation.
I get the feeling that that's where they're going.
Yeah,
but...
and, part of that is just because I love Michael Emerson, and I'm pretty sure that's who he's playing.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's going to be part of, like, Felicity's grand mistake that he's part of the story. And I don't know. I do want Ragman back, but some part of me hopes that it's connected now.
Yeah.
I don't know how you'd do it. I really don't, but I actually kind of do. And you remember, like, when Ragman left, it was under the... Like, one of his last lines was something like... I mean, basically he expressed, well, I'm going to look into why this isn't working right now, and I'll get back to you.
Mm-hmm.
But, we joked about this several times while we were doing the reviews, was like, he's kind of... like especially when they were doing training... And you remember, like, Holt was getting thrown across those granite-looking floors over and over again, and him and Renee are sitting there griping to each other with, like, a busted lip about, this is intense, and, like, Ragman's over in the corner hanging out with Felicity, like, what's that? He got a very cushy training situation. It was because, like, yeah, well, William puts on the thing, he's invincible.
Yeah.
I actually don't want that to change. I just want him to come back and be Ragman. Just like he was. That's fine. I don't need him to go through training and have all this. I just would like him to come back.
Oh. Yeah. I don't know. I could deal with the training. I could deal with Oliver being like, no, you need to train. Why? Because I'm invincible. No, you need to train. You could lose your powers.
Actually, that would be...
something could happen.
That would be the major exception, is if someone kind of mentioned, like, all right, so, yeah, last time you lost your
fancy jacket, you had to leave the team. What if you actually learned how to do things? Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. So, blah, 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 blah.
That's not news.
Over to... It is to some species.
Well played.
That's right. Over to the Teen Titans. They put out a new Teen Titans casting call. Daniel Cross, male 17-19, Caucasian, athletic, street smart, cocky, yet charming. His life has changed forever when he crosses a crime fighter and is given a new outlet for his rebellious ways. Recurring guest star. Jennifer Andrews, female, 20s, 30s, Caucasian, small-town, Midwestern girl gone to Hollywood. Jennifer is a star on the rise. She comes across a doe-eyed all-American and naive in her approach to her art and her life. Jennifer emulates the classic girl-next-door actors from the 1940s and 50s. A bit Stepfordy in her thinking and appearance, Jennifer feels like a woman out of time. Recurring guest star. Caroline, female, 40s, Caucasian, forever sleepless with worry. She's the mother to a young, troubled teen, seeking a recognizable cameo face or name. Guest star. The Messenger, male, 50s to 60s, open ethnicity, outwardly a warm and kind presence. He doesn't seem the type to be
and he's kind of there.
malicious. He's kind of a presence. Phantom Stranger?
That actually makes sense. He's listed as recurring guest stars, so outwardly warm and kind of present.
Yeah. Outwardly a warm and kind presence, he doesn't seem the type to be powerful or malicious, but he has the ability to turn on a dime and be the most terrifying man you've ever met, seeking offer only names / recognizable faces. Recurring guest star. Current speculation says they may give us Arsenal or Phantasm, Elastigirl, Arella, and Brother Blood in that order. Yeah. Now, I don't know. They've released a trailer, and I'm pretty excited about this. Scooby-Doo and the gang will once again team up with Batman 45 years after their Hanna-Barbera crossover. Here's the synopsis. Super Sleuth, Scooby-Doo, Shaggy, Fred, Daphne, and Velma join forces with the world's greatest detective, Batman, when they discover that villains from both of their respective rogues galleries have also combined efforts to terrorize the city. With Scooby Snacks in tow, the crime-fighting teams encounter classic Batman foes Joker, Catwoman, Riddler, Penguin, Scarecrow, Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, and allies The Question, Aquaman, Plastic Man, Martian Manhunter, along with a bevy of fiends from Scooby-Doo lore, Spooky, Space, Kook, Gentleman Ghost, Minor 49, extra Gentleman Ghost is from DC.
Yeah, I'm pretty confused
Ghost
about
Clown. Always, as always, you won't know who the ultimate villain is until these meddling kids pull off the mask. No expenses were spared on the cast, which will include Dietrich Bader, Frank Welker, Greg Griffin, Matthew Lillard, Lillard, can't say his name, Kate Micucci, is that the name?
I'll stand by you.
Jeff Bennett.
That's a good try. I'll stand by your try.
Kate Micucci.
I won't stand by that
Jeff
try.
Bennett. Jeffrey Combs. Hell yeah. John DiMaggio. Nika Futterman. Nicholas Guest. John Michael Higgins. Tom Kenny. Kevin Michael Richardson. Tara Strong. And Fred Tatasciore.
Fred Tatasciore.
All right.
Tatasciore?
All right.
Tatasciore. I'm going to go with that one.
The straight-to-DVD release will drop January 9th of 2018. A trailer is currently available for any interested parties. I am an interested party. I've watched this trailer. It's Batman the Brave and the Bold and Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. I'm excited to see Batman the Brave and the Bold again, even though I'm a little bit, just because the Brave and the Bold had such a wonderful ending.
It did.
I just kind of don't want any more.
Yeah.
Like, I'm full.
No, I
don't need any more of this.
No, I definitely have like a hole in my soul where that there could definitely be shoved some more Brave and the Bold, but
All right.
I understand your point.
Yeah, I just don't want anything to tarnish it. We've had too much tarnishing lately.
There has been some
I'm
tarnishing.
looking at you, Batman and Harley Quinn.
I had a similar
Looking at
discussion
you,
with
Batman
someone
and
this
Harley
week.
Quinn.
They said I enjoyed it, and I pointed out about 3 things, and they kind of went, "Okay, I mean it's a bad movie, but I enjoyed it." I was,
Yeah.
I wish I was even there, but oh well.
Yep. All right, so Injustice 2 open beta kicks off on PC today, and the full game will be released on the 14th. That's for the PC version of the game.
We'll see if it sticks this time.
Have fun with that.
Mm-hmm.
We had a little bit of feedback from Nerdy-tastic. Said the Thinker looks like the J.J. Abrams version of the Borg, complete with lens flare and all. I loved that. I love that comment.
Not a crazy idea. Go on.
But that's going to wrap it up for this episode, I think. Do you have anything else, man?
I've got two.
Oh, yeah, okay. What else you got?
All right, so we don't normally mention Krypton, and I'll explain why here in a second. So, Blake Ridson. I'm sure he's known from things, but he's not on my radar. He'll be taking on Brainiac.
Okay.
In, I guess, the young version of Brainiac in Krypton's situation. I'm not going to call it a show. I'm going to call it a situation. That makes sense in a second, I promise. All right, so Paula Malcolmson from Ray Donovan, a show that I don't have the HBO Go capacity to watch, has been added as Superman's great-grandmother.
It's a recast, though.
That's the important part, is they've recast it into Superman's great-grandmother. So here's my general point. With Krypton, and generally, if you want us to talk about it, let us know, but they're working this thing out on like a fundamental level. Like, until they get everything together, I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it for a minute. They're still so in development that they're recasting a character that hasn't even, like, it wasn't even portrayed in the pilot. Or it's still very ragtag, so.
Part of me feels like, news is so sparse on it. Gosh, what's wrong with me? Sparse? Sparse? What the hell is that?
I think you were going with sparing somehow. But.
Well, thank you for that leap of logic, but I don't think that's what was happening. I think I'm just stupid.
I believe in you.
But news is so sparse, you could say that, we should probably just go ahead and cover it. And I would say that most of the time, I had forgotten about this bit of news, honestly, because who the hell cares, really? I mean, they haven't even figured out their own stuff.
Yeah, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Honestly, with Teen Titans, Black Lightning, and Krypton in particular, we're just at a point where, we see it, but it's got to solidify a little bit, and then we can really talk about it, I suppose.
Which Teen Titans is happening a lot faster than Krypton seems to be.
It does seem to be cementing, if you will. Let me borrow the phrase from Legends. A lot faster than the other ones.
Yeah.
I actually have one more if you wanted to mention it, though.
What's that? What you got, man?
Did you notice did you catch the Bill Finger thing?
They're naming something after him in New York or something?
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
East 192nd Street. Can't even imagine that being from where we're from. And the Grand Concourse, another name that would be too big from where we're from. They're going to rename a site in Bill Finger's name.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's not Bill Finger Street, co-created by Bob Kane. They're doing it after Bill Finger.
Nice. Is it just going to be called Finger Boulevard, or
I don't know? It feels like
which will become known as a much.
It's you can't
place
just use Finger and rename a street. It's going to end poorly. Bill Finger Way.
So now, boys, we know we're opening up all the brothels.
Well, honestly, the real name is going to be it's going to be in the Bronx, up in Upper East Side, across the bridge in Manhattan. It's going to be Bill Finger Way.
Okay.
That doesn't sound any less dirty than what we were talking about, but at least he's getting credit.
Right? For some reason, I feel like they should just name a community after him.
Yeah.
Just call him Williams Finger. Yes, I spent the majority of my days in the summer at Williams Finger.
Yep. Everyone who has to pass below that particular block. Which is, incidentally, that's close to where Bob Kane was apparently living when he invited Bill Finger over to discuss this character that fateful night.
That hateful night?
Fateful night. Did I say hateful night?
It sounded like you said hateful night.
I don't think so. I do have a requisite amount of rancor talking about Bob Kane. But it'll be in the ready. It's a nice gesture, in any case.
Yeah. That's cool. Alright, guys. So, As I mentioned earlier, next week there will be no news. There will be, but we won't report on it. Next week anyway. I'll be out of pocket. I'll be out of town. We will be seeing Justice League Thursday night. We will be seeing it together, and then we'll record together, which will mean that we're probably going to sound a little weird, a little different than we normally do. You shall receive a review on Friday. Also, we're going to be trying a little something different. We're going to be casting live on Facebook, as I mentioned. Mm-hmm. So that might be a little weird, especially if we start actually getting people responding to us and we actually say something to them. That's going to be a little weird. But the audio version will still be uploaded to the feed that you're currently listening to this on. So, if you don't want to watch the live version and see our ugly mugs, well, that's fine. You don't have to. But that option will be there. Just a little something we're trying. But you can find us on Twitter, DC On Screen. Connect with us, like us over on Facebook, especially if you want to watch that live stream of the Justice League review that we're going to be doing. Mm-hmm. You can also email us at dconscreen@gmail.com. If you're into voicemails or leaving voicemails, you can call us 205-259-6331. What was that O for, Jason? What do you need?
It's all of, I think, 10 seconds long. Yeah, it's 10 seconds long, but I just saw the first clip promoting the crossover.
Ooh.
Yep, just soldiers, the heroes we recognize, some fighting, and then a giant CW logo under Crisis on Earth X with the blue coated Earth and the red coated Earth in proximity to one another, as would be the norm in a Crisis comic.
Sounds cool.
I'm pretty sure we've reported that that's going to be what's happening. But
all right,
that's out there now.
Cool. Well, I'm going to go watch that and stop recording this show. But, guys, until next time, keep some DC on your screen. Thank you for listening. Bye. Our opening narration was from Dan Jurgens' The History of the DC Universe, Part 3 of 10, as featured in DC 52, Week 4. It was performed by me, David Z. Robertson. Intro music by Jason Goss and Michael Shackelford. Michael's band Future Elevators can be found on Spotify or future-elevators.com. Our introduction was performed by Eli Ophelders of Stealing the Remote, which lives on SoundCloud and can be found on iTunes and Stitcher. We're a proud member of the Giant Size Team Up Network, GiantSizeTeamUp.com. DC On Screen is a maladjusted production. Visit maladjusted.tv for more from me and Jason, including sketch comedy and improvised web series, vlogs, parodies, and more.